start, yeah? Should we?
Yes, yes, please, please.
Yeah. Okay, so I would like to show you some games by that I was impressed very much in my life. You know, first one, what I want to show you was a game Capo Gelfand, which was played, 32 years ago. So maybe I show some games that are very, very old. So D4, knight f6, knight f3. The move order is not so important. No. C4, d5, knight c3, c6. Ah no, sorry. He played dc4 first. dc4. It is it's a different move order, and queen a4, and now c6. So it's possible also to play this move order in this position, and then if white wants to avoid Marano system, they can play queen d3 or queen b3, but queen d3 actually forced almost to taken on c4. After queen b3, black has a choice. They can develop pieces normally, bishop e7, knight d7, and so on. But after queen d3, the idea is to play e4 immediately. So that's why usually they take. But it was another move order. It was here was taken, check, this and this. Queen c4. b5. Now again is a choice between queen d3 and queen b3. Capo played queen b3. I have had this such position once or twice. Once I lost to. No, Capo played queen d3. I played queen b3 versus Sveshnikov. Once I lost. It was 1983, so 50 years ago. No, 41 years ago. He played queen d3, supporting e4. Bishop b7. So now, except of Capo what he played e4, possible is to play g3 or bishop g5 also. But he played immediately this, e4. And now black played b4. They can play also a6, preparing c5, or knight bd7. That's the main lines. Knight bd7, after e5, knight d5, knight takes d5, cd5. Of course not e d5, then there's no reason to play. The reason is to play this. Pawn sacrifice. Rook b8. And now he has choice between bishop d2 or queen a4. That's Capo likes to play such. Capo was, I must say, was very brave, so, and very self-confident. It's important. He could just take pawn, and he is not scared that he will miss some tactic. So, but Gelfand played here. He played b4 immediately. In this position, he played b4, knight a4, and knight bd7. Oh, sorry, knight is here. Yes, because he had this option too, but it is nothing special because king going into g3, king g2, and white squares are very weak in black position. So, that is he did not play this, bishop a6, but I think he played a5 problem. No, knight bd7. knight bd7. Knight bd7, and after bishop g5, he played queen a5. Developing queen, and maybe sometimes he wants to push b3. Would be unpleasant b3 because then bishop b4 is coming immediately. So, played b3. Just to play b3. Stopping. c5. Now it's so seems that black is developing well because knight on a5 it's according to Tarash is on the edge. Springer am Rande eine Schande, yeah? So on the edge, but he has such a option like taking it by on f6. Karpov was very concrete player, you know, and somebody said that Karpov was playing always, and that moment, the move he thinks that for him is the best. He did not play for a long plan, but he was in time playing something very special. Always at the right moment. Now is not good to take by knight, because there is queen b5 check now. Now we can use this. Queen b5 must take. Bishop takes. Probably bishop d7. Are you sure? Yes. So well. No, king d8. Bishop d7, he just can take on d7, I think.
What is better?
No, sorry, wait a moment. No, but he wants... bishop is on b7. Sorry, bishop is already on b7. How it's happened? After bishop g5, before bishop g5. Knight a4, knight bd7, bishop sorry. Just a moment. Sorry. I just missed something. So, in this position, after, yes, I missed the tempo. So, in this position, that was b5, e4. Now he played bishop b7. And after now e4. b4, knight a4, knight bd7. So where's the knight? Knight bd7, that was queen a5. No. Of course you may. You have not to ask me. So that was bishop was already on b7. I missed it. So, and now he played c5. And now is a very important moment that he cannot take by knight. He cannot take by knight because of queen b5 check. Change. And now he has to move a king. Now he has to move a king. If king d8, then knight e5 first, forcing him to play king d7, and now he can take on c5 by knight and forcing black to take by bishop on e4. Bishop takes e4 and then bishop c6 is winning. After changing, you can see change and bishop c6 is winning immediately. So, the same would be if you would play immediately king e7, knight would be only here. That's the difference. Not on e5, but there. So that's why he was forced to take
With the
by
pawn.
pawn. Yes, he was forced to take by pawn, and that is achievement already for a white side. Queen is on a5. As far as I remember, yeah. So, and now simply developing, because e4 is not attacked anymore. He gave up a bishop. Black has bishop pair, but it's in this position is not important for bishop pair, because there are a lot of weaknesses already, and black has to decide what to do with the king. To castle short or to castle long.
I have a question.
You have castle long?
No, I have a question.
Yeah.
What if we played c4? C4, if he ate the...
Ah, you mean here, c4?
Yeah, if he ate with the queen,
Yes, I
ate the
understand
bishop,
what you
I
mean.
ate the pawn
Yes,
and
but
the-
if I take, you by queen I will take.
Yeah.
And you
then I
take this
take-
pawn,
Yes.
okay. And now I can castle simply. Then you are not developed. The problem is you are not developed.
I can play bishop on g6.
Bishop g6,
d6.
d6. Yes, so you can do it. Yes.
I can develop my pieces.
Or also, wait a moment. Maybe in this position. And the question is, if I just move away, what you do?
If you...
I just go to e3 simply. I don't take. If you take on b3, it's just open the file.
Oh yeah.
And what do you do with your king now? If you play c3, sooner or later I have this move.
Okay, why don't I develop my bishop on the f8, then I castle.
Yes, but to when? Instead of c4 or now? Now you cannot. The pawn is in.
Yeah, and instead of c4.
Instead of c4, you can castle short, but he decided to castle long.
It's an open file, like...
Yeah, but
so opened.
yes, but he
Well, yeah.
he wanted to. The bishop is still here. By the way, no, bishop e2. Yes, bishop e2, because he was afraid of that king.
Because he don't have a black bishop, so he can play king to h8 and he'll...
But h7 is also. But okay, that's a question. First of all, the question: where do you put your bishop?
Into d6.
And d6, then you will have weak. Also, you know, when you play d6, for instance, I can castle. And what do you do next?
Castle.
And just a question, is it not losing? Just a piece?
If I ate with the...
No,
No, I can use.
you cannot take. You take by knight, I take bishop.
If I ate with the bishop, you take the...
I take a knight, so, you know, it's a little bit overloaded.
If I went to h6 before everything, I go with the bishop to h6.
If you go with the bishop to h6, then I am afraid even this is possible. With the same idea, queen b5.
But here, my position is more better than before.
No, but you are losing a piece. Not losing a piece. You have knight d7 and rook d8 and bishop c8 to play. So it's, it's, yeah, okay, but he decided first, because of this threat, queen.
But it's better than before because my bishop is like.
No, but he decided in this position to castle long, because he wants to go with the king to b8, and he has some pressure. His idea knight e5 is sometimes a threat. So white castled, and king b8. No, he had time for this. Not now, knight e5. Ah. Espresso. Oh, schönen Dank. So you could take now on d4. Queen takes d4. King b8. And just queen e3. So you cannot develop bishop. Knight e5.
Maybe bishop to c5 now is better.
No, bishop c5 you just...
It's not possible.
First of all, it's possible, but you have to take...
And you make a line, like you will be afraid by putting the knight on e5 because you will have double pawn, and if you went to...
No, you have double pawn anyway already.
Okay, but you can exchange.
No, but he played king b8 here instead of you cannot play here knight bishop c5 because just pinned then. You cannot. You have to play king b8 first.
So he played bishop c5? Did he play it?
When? No. Now it's white moving. Ah, sorry, he did play, he did take with, you mean this was, sorry, you mean this variation, c d4, queen d4. Now, you cannot play knight c5 because this is hanging.
What if I played knight to e5? If he ate with the knight, with the pawn, then with the...
No. You can play now knight e5.
Why?
Yeah, but the problem is that you play with the same pieces all the time. Okay, you are attacking my queen.
Okay, but you will, when you have this position, you can't...
I just move away. You know that he did not like because he is opening the position now, and he is not developed, and this always is a threat, queen f4. If you take, I take by bishop, and there is a threat e5 sometimes. Just opening everything, not forget that a7 is still hanging. That's why he will play here king b8 first.
Yes.
First king b8. Queen e3, it would be the same, knight e5, and knight d4. Threat is
You can pin
f4.
him.
The threat is f4.
Pin.
Sorry?
You can pin him.
Whom?
The wife.
But-
Bishop to c5.
I take, you take, I take, you take. You play this one.
Yes.
So first of all, I have such a check. Little bit unpleasant. You take, I take on c5. Well, you know there are many options. Each move, I just showed some options. And f5 now, with the idea to play f4. Because if rook c1, then f4 is possible. Queen takes f4, rook takes d4, rook c5. There is a very, very complicated position. Like for instance this is rook c1, then f4, take, rook c5 now. But this is not so clear here, because it's very complicated. Bishop must take, then take here, queen c7, take there, rook d8, queen takes h7, it's complicated. So, but maybe it's the best.
Oh wait, rook. Oh no, you'll either.
Queen c7, then taken here, rook d8, take on h7. He likes pawn to take pawns. Bishop d4. Rook is on bishop d4, rook d1. No, rook d1 is not possible, is it?
No, because he'll play like queen.
No,
F4.
rook h8 is.
Queen
What
F4 is good.
Ah, no, sorry, bishop d4 just to stop it here. Bishop d4, black is okay. So, because of rook ac1, better would be to play rook fd1. So,
The piece is black.
just a moment.
The piece is black.
Wait, give me time.
They're up clear.
Excuse me, give me time. I pull. Give me time a little bit. Rook is there. Rook is there. Knight is on e5. Knight on d4. Instead of f4, rook ac1 is also rook fd1. Well, no, rook ad1. Maybe that. After f5, rook ad1. Not c1, but ad1. And now we can take by pawn. Or another option is to play knight b5 immediately, attacking a7, then again taken on e4, bishop is there, pawn takes, and rook c1. And there's a little bit not easy to develop pieces. Queen f4 is sometimes a threat. And rook c7 is a threat. So rook d7, and now just knight b5, knight c5. And if this, then taken and rook c7, and soon will be made. Yeah. So that's one of the options. Is simply he played king b8 instead of taking on d4. He played here, bishop is on b7, instead of taking, take, I think, taken, take, pawn here, king b8, can be like that, yes? No, knight on a4, sorry. Knight on a4, and queen is on d3. He played king b8. Now it's a very, very nice move. Mostly when black has a bishop on b7, it's very, very important, very good move, very useful is to close the bishop by d5. It's Queen's Indian, many openings, just to close it. And also closing d file. d5, knight b6, logical, knight b6. He took by queen. Another option was to take by pawn, but then his queen is not playing. Somehow queen is out of game. And this is always a threat, attacking all that pawns. And both rooks. This one at least protecting a rook, and maybe protecting 6th rank. Rook ad1. And now f5 is not so good because of this, knight g5. So he played bishop h6. Oh no, queen is done d3, bishop h6, stopping diagonal, controlling diagonal, and now it's very nice move, queen c4. The idea is he prepared exchange sacrifice. Bishop h6, so queen c4, rook d6. Also logical, just develop the bishop, double rooks, and get pressure. The question is if white can keep the pawn on d5. But he doesn't want to keep it. He just took here. He always plays the moves on the certain position and changing the plans. Karpov was very flexible during the game. He could change always d e6, rook e6, because pawn to take pawn is very, very, very unpleasant. And knight takes on e5 and probably winning position immediately. Knight f7 is a threat, bishop f3 is a threat changing, queen h4 sometimes is a threat too. He took by a rook. And now it's tremendous move made by Karpov. Rook d5. It's very nice move. Just giving up exchange. Black has very poor pawns and poor king without a bishop on b7. Bishop on h6 is doing nothing, and all the pawns will be weak. He played, Gelfand played rook h8 because he wants to take by pawn on d5. Rook h to e8 and just bishop b3. He is taken by pawn there. Now he's going back. Rook d1. He doesn't move a rook from d5. Rook e d6. And now going back. That was important, the moment to protect. Because bishop was hanging. Now is the time to do something with that rook on d5. Pawn takes on bishop takes d5. Pawn takes d5. White has even no one pawn for exchange. But the position is fantastic because the white squares are very weak. Bishop is doing nothing here. Pawn on c5 is weak. All the pawns are weak, and rooks are close. They have not open file. Queen b7. Queen b7, yes. And now is the tempo. Queen h4. Bishop f8. No, bishop f8. If bishop g5, just queen g3. And the main idea, he needs only one move to put the bishop there, to c4, to close completely black position. And bishop is still in danger. And there is a pin. And h4 is always coming. So, he played immediately bishop f8. He wants to bring his bishop to d6 and also defending the pawn c5. And now bishop c2. Black has no moves. And black decided here to give up exchange back. At least for a pawn. Rook d5. Bishop d5, rook d5, and very important move, rook e1. White rook is much stronger. First of all, we defend the first rank, and also have threats with on e5, rook e8. Has to go rook d8. He could play something like queen d7 here. Just take rook d1. But he can just push a pawn. h4. You have to be very self-confident to play the game like Karpov played. He doesn't care. Because take, queen e2, and simply king f1, protecting everything. It's typical for Karpov. He, I would say, was the best chess player with playing with the king, moving the king. He played a lot of games, but king is always active even in the middle game. King is defending himself. Yeah, you see king defending himself, defending knight, defending squares, and there is still h pawn is going. Bishop h6. And just give some checks. Taken. And taking another one. And winning. So, that's why he did not play this. He played rook e1, he played rook d8. In this position, he played rook d8. Queen was on c7, I think. No, queen was on b7. No, on b7 was king was rook e1, rook d8, yes. No, queen on d7 was, and because he, after rook e1, rook was on d5, bishop was there, pawn, and he played rook d8, covering the 8 rank. Rook d8, queen takes f6. Now there are equal pawns already, except that all the weaknesses is here. And knight is stronger than bishop, of course. Queen c7, g3, just, he's not he has time. Bishop d6. Knight g5. Starting attacking all the pawns. Knight g5. Rook d7 must. No check. King b7. Knight e4. Again attacking everything. Queen c6. Queen f5. Sometimes the rook is hanging. Bishop e7. Now, I was funny.
I used the pawn.
Sorry?
I used the pawn.
Oh, queen is here, yes. No, sorry. No, queen f5, bishop e7. What do you mean?
He lose the pawn.
No, there's a check and taking the knight.
Oh,
Check and taking the knight, win. Now is the moves typical for Karpov. It's not easy to make such a move. It seems to be unlogical. How to improve the position? Okay, rook d1 is sometimes a threat.
H3.
Not in style of Karpov. In style of Karpov is king g2. King is defending from rook d1 check. Just to...
Queen takes.
Sorry?
Queen takes rook for white. After move the black.
Which, sorry?
after black move.
Queen take d7.
Now is not possible. On c5 is protected by
Okay.
bishop.
Bishop,
Yeah. No, king g2. King is better on g2. Incredible. Sometimes even he wants to play queen f3, and now then we have some checks. Queen. So king g2, rook c7. That rook is not hanging anymore. And you know here you have to be brave. Just to play for opponent. He doesn't care because he always has this move. Always. When knight will be attacked, he always can protect it. And rook is coming from h7. He just wants to take a pawn and to push h pawn. Rook g6. Queen g6, sorry. Queen d5. Check. Queen c6. King k6 was possible, but it doesn't help much. Queen c6. And now it's time just to change. No, it's always better to have a knight king here for ending. King takes c6 and just take a pawn now. One pawn. King d5 and knight goes to his best to c4. Bishop f6 has to protect somehow. Knight c4. King d4. Now is winning some tempo with such a move. Must play rook c6 and no g4. Let's add g5. Rook e6 and h4, pushing the pawn. King d3 and g5. And just after changing the rook, the pawns are going So, and black resigned in this position. So what I wanted to show, what I said about the just one short, very, very short game, actually very short game, but it is typical also the idea of Karpov's. He played black, was Scottish, in Bill 1996. He played
His extra.
extra, Which is extra? Both. This is better, looks better. A little bit, yeah. And so, was a Scottish, d4, knight f6. By the way, you see, Karpov was world champion, but there were only few games where he played Sicilian with black, and never played King's Indian, probably. And Greenfeld, he always plays Queen's Gambit, Ninzo, Indian, Queen's Indian, and with white he played, sometimes he played e4, 2, e4, but with black when he played, after e4 he played mostly e5. Once, I think, only once, 1976, the Soviet championship which he won, and in Moscow he played versus Geller e6 and lost. The only game he lost in the tournament, winning 7. It was 1976. C4, e6, knight f3, b6. Kasparov played versus him 2a3, that's Peterson system, but and also here a3, bishop b7. You know the idea of a3 is just to avoid the pin of bishop b4, losing tempo, but knight c3, and now is a threat d5, and d5 and e4, and the main idea against that bishop that is closed. So now is d5, it's classical d5. Later they started to play bishop a6 here instead of, but classical is d5. Later, I mean not after this game, before.
Hello.
Hello. Long time before. So c d5, knight d5, because to take by bishop, by knight knight, to take by pawn has no reason. Bishop on d7 is wrong. Just bishop g5 and d3, and it's, or g3, that is, bishop is wrong there. So that is the main idea, knight d5. Now they can play queen c2 or e3. Queen c2 he played. Knight takes e3. Queen takes e3. And knight d7. Just bringing a knight to, perhaps to f6. And now is the moment. In the moment. It looks that bishop g5 should be very strong. And it's an important moment, bishop g5, because if knight f6, but he played knight d7 because he wanted to protect the pawn on c7 by rook from c8. And he did not calculate anything like, he didn't consider anything like f6, so just played bishop e7. Bishop e7, bishop takes e7, and I must accept that I would consider, of course, queen takes e7, sacrificing a pawn, and then playing bishop d5, and castling, but there is, or taking first even, taking, but the moment take, probably, this is good. After bishop takes, even maybe this is possible. Was idea to play bishop d5. Or also this, maybe, this and e3 later. And the bishop is strong here, but it's typical for Karpov in this position, after taking, he just took by king. It's typical for him. King is okay here, not threats. And it was a game once he played from French defense, I think, versus Leco, something similar with king takes on e7.
Wasn't there also a famous Karo Khan game by him?
Yeah.
But this is a little better for white, or?
White lost this game in few moves. I would say it's okay for black.
Okay.
If it's
Bishop is on b7.
sorry? Oh, bishop. Sorry. Yes, bishop is on b7. I'm sorry, there is a piece.
And knight.
Yeah. Now e3.
Knight.
Knight on f3. Yes, e3. And problem white is not developed here. By the way, for endgame, king be okay. And that's rook c8. He wants to play c5 now. And queen on c3 is not good placed. Bishop e2. b4 maybe he should play, but he did not like to, he wanted to develop pieces finally. Bishop e2 and just c5. Strange. Black is okay here at least, because he wants to play knight f6 later, and the queen is here a little bit weak, knight e4 will come, so, and he has time to bring a rook there. He did not do it even, he didn't need it. And dc5, better was rook b1 or castle, of course, maybe castle. But he played dc5, and now rook c5. Queen g7, rook g8. Now white king is in danger. Queen takes h7, and just took a pawn here. And white king is not safe, and there is a very dangerous bishop there. Queen h4, check, knight d6, rook d1, I think, queen c7, knight d4, rook g1 was not possible, of course, rook g1, bishop takes f3. Simply. And if queen d4, then rook g4 is unpleasant move. And there are no squares for a queen now, because this is pinned. So he played knight d4, was time already. Oh, another nice move, which is not easy to make, I would say. Just a5. No, he's staying with the king here, just playing A5. Not only, also sometimes white has no squares, queen cannot come to b4. This is bad because of rook takes here. Rook takes e2. King e2 and rook c2 check. And this is yes, this is this. This. Oh, sorry. Because rook is handed. So, and now check. Take, queen takes. And nice variation here. Check. Queen is out. And mate. So. So he did not play f4. He played. Where was the rook?
G2.
A knight on d4, a5, knight, a rook on g2, a5, and was played, and queen on c7,
Bishop on E2.
bishop on e2, yeah,
And knight on F6.
a rook on c5, knight on f6, and he played knight b5. Knight b5. And it's just losing. Rook takes b5, bishop takes b5, and rook g4. And if queen rook d7, then queen takes d7. And still a rook handed here. So, and after rook g4, white resigned, just losing a piece. So it's funny that he played king takes e4. It was the move, exactly the move 10th, and 10 moves later, he did not move a king. He did not remove a king from e7, and 10 moves later, the white resigned. Okay, you can say that white did not play the best way. It's true, but it is a game. It's a game. You have to be. No, I think it's. I can show many games where Karpov played with the king, because king is defending himself. Mostly the people defend the king by other pieces, and he's moving a king defending. One game, maybe you can take a look. In 1984, it was a match, Soviet Union versus the rest of the world. It was in London in '84. Karpov played versus Ulf Andersen, I think, and it was a queen's gambit exchange, a Carlsbad system, CD5, ED5, that. And one moment after castle shot, he moved the king from g1 to a2 or to b2 with queens. And then later, few moves when the position closed there that made some weaknesses, white, he moved the king back to king side, and then just pushing the pawns ahead, and later won endgame. So it was really, I was very impressed. You can take a look. It's a very long game. If you like such ideas, he was playing slowly. He is not. He knows that if he wins in 20 moves or he wins in 60 moves, he gets only one, not more.
Have you seen the game from 1969 when
Nine-
Karpov
1969.
when Karpov wins against Ulf Andersson in a Spanish game.
It was a World Junior Championship?
That's correct.
No, I did not, no.
Look at it.
I did not see that game, so because maybe there were not. Maybe that was published in chess informant. Maybe 69. It exists already. I will take a look later. So another game. Also, I attended that game because we had a competition in Moscow. I tell you what is that. It was a chess Olympiad, they called it. Chess Olympiad between all the republics, 15 republics, and separate teams were Moscow and Leningrad. They had separate teams, so 17 teams. And it was, I played for juniors in Ukrainian team. The team was, I think, 6 seniors, maybe 6 men, then few women, and 3 juniors. Juniors were me, I was first board, second was Belavsky, and third was Mikhalcheshin, all from Lviv. So that was 1972. And was very, very interesting game, very typical game for maybe for Leonid Stein. He won that game versus Smyslov. And he played second board for Ukraine because first board played someone who won just 2 months before that. He won the Soviet championship. And as a Soviet champion, he played the first board for Ukraine. So c4, knight f6, knight f3, I think. No, knight c3 he played. Knight c3, he allowed him to play e5. But Smyslov didn't like to play. First board for Moscow was Petrosyan played versus someone, and that was second board. Knight c3, it's just a move order. e6, knight f3, b6, e4. Last year I showed my game versus Petrosyan, after bishop b7 with bishop d3 that I played. Yeah, and that game, here usually they played. By the way, I want to tell you that is this instead of knight f3, there is this one option. e4 immediately, and if c5, then some pawn sacrifices later. Knight, oh no, here is even not pawn sacrifice. Knight e8 and then d4, taken on d4 and queen takes d4, queen e4. Or after e4, or another option is you can take this and knight c6, you can play queen e4, or you can play, another option is to play here, to play knight f3, knight c6, d4, take sacrificing this pawn, and then knight b5 or bishop f4. Knight db5, yes. Knight db5. And then a6, knight d6, and taken by queen, f6. And it's initiative for a pawn. Also, it's possible after e4 to play here. After e4, you can play d5. It's another story. And then e5 d4. It's also theoretical position, but he preferred to play knight f3, b6, e4, bishop b7. Usually they played d3 or queen e2. Here defending that pawn on e4. Stein played queen e2.
So the knight missing on b8.
Sorry?
The knight missing on b8. On g8.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. Queen e2. Usually they can play a hedgehog to put a c5, the first d6, maybe c5, knight bd7, later white plays d4, and it's typical position. But he tried to play, Smysl tried to play, don't forget it was played 1972, so that opening theory changed a lot since that time. He played bishop b4. I don't know if it's popular now or not. Bishop b4 wants to change.
Was the hedgehog popular back then? Or is it,
Sorry?
was the hedgehog popular back then already, or was it?
It started more or less that year. Started by Ulf Andersen and Ljubomir Ljubojevic. Both they started to play that. I cannot say exactly which year they more or less started. Bishop b4, e5, knight g8, going back. D4, and he wants to immediately to play d6. So maybe knight e7 another option was, instead of d6 he played knight e7 and to castle quickly. Maybe because after d6 he started with a3 immediately. a3, bishop c3, pawn c3, knight e7, and Stein started to play for attack immediately with h4. Doesn't give him time to bring a knight to g6. Because this pushing pawn is very unpleasant. If you play h6, then he has options with g4, g5. If you play you cannot play g6 because you have not a black square bishop. So knight d7, just wants to attack a pawn. h5. Bishop takes f3, and he sacrifices a pawn. Queen takes f3. Pawn takes e5, and quickly h6. Maybe it was better for black not to take a pawn, but to stop by h6. But so. And now he has to take, because he has no time for this move, because just can take and queen f6 after knight takes e5. So he had to take here. Now it's g takes h6. Bishop takes h6. Because you see, if black takes on d4, then white has good pawns after that. Knight f5 would be possible here, but knight f5, then bishop d3. Knight takes, rook takes. E d4, c d4, c5. Knight is on d7, sorry. Knight is on d7, yes. Because knight from e7 came to f5. C d4, c5. Now, one option is to play bishop e4 here, or king f1. Both is good, bishop e4 or king f1 and rook e1. And there are a lot of problems with the king in the middle. So he played CD4 immediately. Bishop CD4, ED4. Sorry, what is that? Bishop ED4. ED4. That was ED4. Well, that was it. Sorry, how it was? DE5 he played, yes. Now he took here, ED4, CD4. And what he did here? No, sorry, he did not take on. That is. He took immediately on D4. He took immediately on D4. Yeah. This was a position. Bishop, knight, bishop, knight, and bishop. And knight is. The knight was on F5. No, F5. Knight on E7. I mean, if knight F5, then bishop D3. So he played ED4 and bishop G7. ED4, bishop G7. Rook G1, Rook G8, and Rook H7. So, very unsafe king on E8. There are some threats. F7 is attacked. So knight F5. And now he has time to take by bishop because an F7 is handy. But still is not so easy. It's played C5 because knight might be strong. If he goes with bishop here, knight E5, king is still also not so safe here. And maybe he will castle long later. So, but after c5 he played the g4. It's very concrete position. You know, you must be in time always playing this. You cannot waste time. You must be very active. If you make some moves like bishop e3, then maybe black can overtake initiative. So. Black must take by pawn to here. Still f7 is hanging. e5. Queen d5. Rook on a8 is still hanging, so rook f8 is the only move. And cd4 now. Very strange game, anyway. Rook f8, taken on d4. Yeah, what to do now? Knight f6 is a lot of checks probably there. Queen c6. What is that? Excuse me. What's happened?
No.
Hmm? Sorry. Just a moment. I lost. No. It's okay there?
This is okay, I think.
So maybe in my cable something happened. Okay, just 2 minutes. By the way, knight f6 is not possible because this and mate. So knight f6 is not possible. How to protect pieces now? Wait a moment, just we did not lose anything because I have all that saved. What?
Queen to e7.
Queen, no, rook on a8.
Oh.
No, he played rook c8, I think. As far I can remember, he played rook c8.
Really?
I don't know what's happened. Let's plug in. Just a moment. Just 2 minutes. Yeah. What would you suggest to play here?
Rook c8 is good.
Rook c8 is probably the only move. A moment. I'm coming back to. Time I take coffee. Well, where is it? Thanks, Mislo. Yes, we have it. Rook f8, d4, rook c8. And just rook d1.
So he can. So when he is the pawn on e5 with the.
No, but the knight f6 is even to take in here and then to have all the strong pawns there. Take queen e7. Oh no! This is again. Sorry. This is not possible. Knight f6. What? Just to
Queen d7.
queen.
Queen to b.
To b5.
Yeah.
Queen b5.
Queen b5, queen d7. And then to take on d7 maybe. Maybe. He played queen e7. Yes, if to take here, then rook takes. And rook is coming. So, knight f6 is probably the best move. But we can play queen d5, queen d7, and then take on d7, and you must take by knight. Or also we can play queen e7. You can just take by queen here. Oh, sorry, no, knight f6. Queen takes. You have to go here. And now just moving the rook back because white has 2 pawns up. Just 2 pawns up. Just moving the rook back. 2 pawns up. It's enough to win. So he played in this position. He played immediately queen d7. And now bishop g2. To bring a king to f1. Rook g8. Also, you know, if you play here, even now it's another idea possible. Now it's even possible to play this. Queen d7. Of course, it's possible to take again, but no, take again, king goes maybe to d8. No, maybe the same, but also this is idea interesting. Take, and bishop c6. And the pawn is running. Taking, take, and this is. And there are no other moves actually, because c7 is a threat already. He played rook g8. In this position, he played rook g8. Attacking this one. Queen is on e7, sorry. No, queen on e7. Queen b7. And, sorry, rook g8. After rook d1 was queen e7, bishop g2. Yeah, rook g8. Now it's queen b7. Rook takes c4. Because rook b8 is just taken on a7. And cannot take because of check. Yeah. Queen b7. Rook c take c4. Rook takes c4. Take on e5. Still not possible to take here because of check on a8. Queen takes e5. And just king f1. Rook e1 is a threat. Queen b5, protecting at least a knight and some checks. And just simply king g1. White king is safe now, and black is in danger. There are threats like rook this queen c8, rook this threat, and no, rook queen a8, sorry, not c8, a8. Queen c6, he played, still option. And now very nice winning. Queen takes. Oh, this one. Sorry. Queen takes. Rook takes. And rook h8. Nice move. Losing a knight on d7, so you have to play something like that. Pawn takes, is the same more or less. Bishop c6. Rook g8. Rook g8. Bishop takes. King e7. Bishop f5. Pawn takes, just even gave a check, which was not necessary actually, but okay, good enough. Probably in time travel were both. King f6. Bishop d3, rook a8, and black resigned, of course. So just a piece down. So, I didn't want to show another one game. By the way, it was 72, year 72, and 73, Stein died at the age of 39 years old. So, and something similar, and similar with H-pawn attack, I played versus Krasenkov in Stein Memorial in Lviv in year 2000. Year 2000. D4, D5, C4, C6, knight F3, C4, E6 he played, E6, knight F3, and he played C6. Wanted me to play E3 to move to normal Marano system. But usually I like to develop a bishop on a G2 and sometimes sacrificing a pawn on C4. In the year 1989, we played the Olympiad in Kalmykia in Elista. I played for Ukraine, and I had to play versus Russia versus Morozevich. And later I read his article about this, comments about this game, and he said when you play Romanishin, you have to know that there will be a pawn sacrifice on C4. You have only to guess which moment. But he prepared well, and he has beaten me in that game.
Morozevich.
Yes.
He must have been very young back then.
Yeah, 1990. No, but he was strong already. Over 2,600 that year. So maybe close to 2,700 already. 89, because he was strong already in middle of 80s, or of 90s, middle. And so, and I played many times. Of course, here is another option to play queen c2, also possible, if you like to play another game. But I prefer, especially when you have not a knight on c3, white has more options than with a knight, because when you have knight on c3, when you play a4 after b5, you have to be ready for b4 pushing, and knight can be attacked with tempo on c3. dc4, bishop g2. Normal, bishop g2, b5, a4. For instance, if we would have such position already with both knights, then I have to be aware of before that white has no square e4 for a knight, and then to go back. It's losing a lot of time. So at this position is another little bit a4. He has to do something now, because a6, bishop b7 has to play actually. Because a6, then he is take, and knight e5, he has problems already, or immediately knight e5. He has no time. So he played bishop b7, castle. Knight c3 is another option, but knight c3 he is playing a6 still. I prefer first to castle. Knight d7, knight c3, knight d7, knight c3, a6. Knight e5. Now he has not knight on d5. If he takes and changing the queens, Maruk is coming immediately to d1, and b5 is hanging, and diagonal is hanging. All the diagonal is hanging, and also a rank is. So knight e7 he played. That's another option, protected. But queen c8 is another option, yes, to play, just to protect c6. Queen c7 is not good here because of bishop f4. Queen b6 is not time because taking he must take by king. So knight e7, he wants just to he wants to protect c6, ab5, ab5, rook takes a8, and he has to take by bishop, because he doesn't want to take by king on d7 later. Knight d7. Now is time to take on d7. Queen takes d7, and now white could win a pawn back, taking on b5. Knight b5, cb5, bishop a8. But after knight d5, I don't think that white is better at all, because the bishop is stuck on a8, and you sacrifice a pawn. When you sacrifice a pawn, don't try to win that pawn back immediately. Yes, there's no reason then to sacrifice a pawn if you want to just to take back and to get equal position, for instance. So. Now just stopping a knight, e4. Not only stop knight from d5, and another idea is that he has problems with develop king side. If he plays g6, then the squares are very weak, like e5 maybe. Bishop g7. And knight e4, and after castle, we have different options. We have knight f6, or we have bishop g5. Now bishop g5 maybe, or bishop h6 is another option. But bishop h6 maybe not so good, because bishop g6 he can go here, and after this he can play this move. So perhaps bishop g5 would be the best one. Bishop g5. And after rook d8, even we can play queen c1. He cannot move. And it's very dangerous now. Queen going to f4. And so it's not a reason to play it that way. He played knight g6 instead of this. He wanted just to develop pieces. Knight g6. So, knight g6, bishop e7, he has a pawn up and wants to be optimistic. But the same idea, like in the previous game, just pushing a pawn. And if he has no time for h6, because after h5 he has to go back to e7. And he has no time to move pieces. Bishop on a8. One moment when I bring my bishop from c1, I can take a file. h4 and bishop b4. At least he wanted to change this. But it is h5, knight e7, and h6. Like in the previous game. Is to take, and just bishop takes. And king stuck in the middle. Rook g8. Just okay. Now bishop is doing nothing here, because the main idea was a main achievement that he could not castle anymore. So this, but we have to protect the pawn. Bishop goes to b7. Knight g6. He doesn't want to take on c3, because without black squared bishop would be dangerous. Terrible for him. Knight g6. And now queen is coming, attacking that pawn, and rook a1. Bishop b7. Prophylactic move, but anyway, rook a1. And we're playing for both sides. From both sides, from black and from king and queen side. And he cannot save his king. Trying to bring the king to c8. King d8 is playing. He's playing king d8. Yeah, if he has time to bring king to c8, then c7, and then it will be difficult for me to win the position. But when he has a king in the middle, you have to open the position in the center if it's possible. d5. Immediately open the position. d5. It's always typical when the pawns are like e6 and c6, one moment to push d5. Bishop takes c3, and just pawn takes c3. You cannot even take on d5 twice, because I change all the pieces on d5 and rook a8 with a rook on g8. So
I mean, if you take on c6 first,
I don't want.
okay,
I don't want to take immediately. I have time.
okay.
Because I don't know, maybe I take on e6. I don't want to open immediately. So what is the game? Sorry, it was something with. I have the same problems. I don't understand what's happened. For the second time. How he has to play now? He played, I think, king c8. He cannot take. Because if he takes by c pawn, I take by e pawn, and later the bishop will be hanging. Bishop will be hanging sometimes. I always have option to take on e6, or to push d6, or take on e6, and bishop will be hanging, by the way, immediately. And okay, 7 will be also possible. And by the way, d1 square is still covered by a queen. The position is difficult. I tell you in the meantime about the tournament. It was played double round tournament. Played Ivanchuk, Gelfand, Belavsky, Krasenkov, Ivanchuk, Gelfand, Belavsky, Krasenkov, and Korchnoi, and me. 6 players, double round. And the first, I was -1. I lost to Korchnoi with black, and lost with black to Krasenkov, and to won with white with Belavsky. After 5 rounds, I have had -1, but next round I started game with white versus Krasenkov. If I would win this game, I would have 50%, and that I was, by the way, I was lowest rated in that tournament. I would be happy with this. 50%, 4 games left, more or less okay for me, yeah. And I missed the winning position this game. And after that, I lost 3 games in a row. I was so disappointed when I came to hotel. I stayed in hotel, and I saw that I could win just in 2 moves, simply. I was so disappointed. Okay, it happened to everybody that sometimes you lose 3, 4, even once I lost 5 games in the row in 75. By the way, Kuprejcik started the Soviet Championship, I think the year 80, with 5 out of 5. Can you imagine? 5 out of 5. And then he finished in 50%. For me happened also, maybe I show you another one game, I played in Barcelona in 1992. It was the last tournament of Tal. And I started 3 out of 3. I won first round 20 moves versus Dorfman with white. Then I won versus Korchnoi with black. It was the only one game I won versus Korchnoi. I lost many. And then I won versus Orestes Rodriguez. He is from Peru, I think, or he is living in Spain for 50 years maybe. I think at least lived for 50 years. So, and started 3 out of 3. And by the way, I did not win the tournament, even did not share. They shared first place with +2 only. But instead of that, I lost to Ivan Sokolov, to Lothier, and to Gurevich, Michael Gurevich, and won only with Tal. So I finished with +1. No, +1 I finished. So now it's starting 3 out of 3 and then collapsed. No, but okay, I did not lose in the row because I lost to strong players. All the strong players were. I could win only versus Tal, but Tal was already sick, you know, it's just 1 month, 1.5 months before his death. So. Just a moment. So it happens sometimes that you lose in the you know you cannot lose, but now, especially now, the time changed a lot. Not like it was before. Before the tournament, were a long tournament, we played many rounds, and now all the tournaments are 9 rounds. If you lose 1 or 2 games, it's over. You have no chances. Also, not like Soviet Championship '76, which I mentioned already. That Karpov won 17 rounds. I lost first 2 games to Dorfman with white and Smyslov with black, and then I won 3 games in the row with Sveshnikov, Zakharov, Alexander Zakharov, and Tal, and was already almost on the top. +1, I was so about 3rd, 5th place, more or less. And I thought that I have good chances for the tournament. Then I started to play too risky, and then I lost a game to a game. Then I was 50%. Then I won the game. Then I lost the game. By the end, I won 7 games. Only Karpov won 8 games, and lost 7 games too, and made 3 draws only. So, but 17 rounds, I prefer longer tournaments. I know it's for some people it lasts too long, but if you play the chess on your if it's your main occupation, main business in the life, then it's okay. So so after d5, he took on c3, bc3, and played king c8. He had to take already on c3 because it was dangerous. It already was dangerous, the knight. So, and king c8. Now I first took here, this one. Now we have equal pawns, but my position is still better. I don't want immediately to take somewhere because on c6, now maybe he played rook h8. Now I took because after queen g7 he could take on d5 already, and later have some threats on h1. So now I took on e6. It's important is to take on e6 because he took by queen. By pawn would be very dangerous. He took by queen and queen g7. Rook d8. Bishop b6. That he cannot go to d7 because there is a mate 8 rank. He has to go to e8. It gives me a file. Now queen h6. Maybe to there is another one threat from h3. Rook d, and he played rook h6, rook h8. I have a nice tempo. Rook d1. And he has to go bishop a8 to get a square on. But my file is already, D file is mine already. He wants to go with king to d7. Back. Queen g5. Maybe come into c5. King b7. And now bishop e3 or d4 I played. No, bishop d4, tempo. Because he has not rook d8 anyway. Bishop d4, rook e8, queen c5, He has to go back. King c8. I played rook a1, bishop b7. Sorry. Instead of this rook a1, I could win very easily by this move. Queen a7. And just to bring a bishop to d6. Very easy win. Bishop d6 and queen b8. He cannot protect. He has not rook d8. Is the only defense is this, 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 and now queen. And when I discovered in the hotel room, I was so upset with that I played very well this game, and then I missed such an easy win. Actually, at that time had about 80 minutes, or we started with that time only with bonus, and so I was a little bit nervous and did not win this. So instead of this, I made a stupid move. Instead of queen a7, I made instead of queen I made rook a1 again.
Isn't the bishop on d4?
Sorry?
The bishop on d4?
Bishop on d4, yeah. Bishop on d4. Just queen a8 would be winning immediately, and queen a7, bishop c5, bishop d6, and game would be over. So I played rook a1 was mistake already. I had some stupid ideas with taking on b7. Knight e5. Knight b5. No, knight. Where is the knight? Here. Knight e5. Rook takes. Queen d6. King c8. Bishop takes, check. Rook e6. Take here. King b8. Takes. And I could not win, probably he would win, because he is very fast with the pawn, c pawn. I repeated here moves, and then played queen e3 after few repetitions. Played queen e3. b4, cb4 and c3. Yes, a very strong pawn. Queen c7 and c3, f4. Queen c7. Queen c7, king f2, and queen c4. Looks like a draw. f5, c2. Not to win. So, we still have time, I think. Yeah?
Do as much as long as you like.
As the people like. Not me. I will show you one game which I'm very proud of. Despite, okay, that was international master, Tibor Karoli, probably you know him maybe, by name, from Hungary. It's very, very strange game. Really, incredibly strange game that I won with a luck, of course. But I thought one moment that I'm going to lose. This is bishop, pawn, bishop, pawn, 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 pawn. Knight and rook. Well. It's a very short game actually. C4, E5. Knight F3.
Are you white or
I'm black.
black?
Knight F3. No, probably E4 is not the best move. I don't know, but usually people don't like to play E4. They start with Knight C3 or G3 at least. I played E4, Knight D4, Knight F6, Knight C3, Bishop C5, Knight B3, and Bishop B4, D4, D4. No, I did not like to take en passant, but I made a not good move. Hier, ich habe noch. Oh, danke. And D4, and I played bishop takes C3. It's much too early. It's much too early. One option was to play to castle first. To castle, and after bishop g5, h6, bishop h4, maybe not. So to castle maybe was much better. Or even h6, also possible instead of this. Another option could be h6, queen c2, now castle. To wait until he plays a3 and then to take. Even this is possible. Take, and now to play d5 because knight on b3 is outposted a little bit. And will be after taking bishop e6, we can be attacked. Knight. So I played bishop c3. Much too early. Bishop c3, that was starting my problems. And after that, I wanted him to get double pawns. And then to play h6. So, just losing a lot of time. Because now he can also put his bishop not to f4 is also that. f4 is good square. d6. What else? Have to play d6. Never play d5 in such positions. e3. Knight c6. c5. Maybe not necessary, but possible. Okay, he wants to make me a little. It's time to castle, finally. Knight d5 I didn't like. it's a knight d5 looks a little bit dangerous. He goes and just needs to this pawn. And to play d5, that is not very nice to play d5 here. Because later he has always c4. It's fantastic bishop there. Castle. cd6, cd6. And now we play rook c1. Bishop e2 was possible. I wanted to play knight d5 then. c4 maybe was good. Just to play c4 first. And it's clear advantage for white. Clear advantage. Cannot do anything here. No counterplay. He played rook c1. I don't know what was the reason. He just wanted to support pawn, but it's not necessary. So what to do now? The position looks terrible. I played here a5. No active play for black. I started to play a5, a4, disturbing him a little bit. Because if he plays c4, then maybe I get a square. So, a5, bishop e2, bishop e6. Some finally idea that I want. I'm attacking a pawn on a2, c4, but still big advantage. Knight d2. And what now? Again, no moves, yeah? c4, and by the way, it's a threat, d5. Knight b4. I don't want to play this because after c5 it's knight b4. Rook b1. Cannot take on a2 because queen c2 and losing a knight. Knight d3. Bishop takes, pawn takes. So if he develops pieces, I'm losing a pawn on d3, and the game is over. Yeah. So and what to do? He has few options here. Rook b7, then I have some bishop g4. Maybe. And so idea was at least something like that. Rook b7, bishop g4, and if f3, then go back with the tempo. And try to attack this bishop, knight h5, and taking a3. Something. Of course, it looks terrible, but what to do?
With rook before that,
Rook b4? There's no reason, because what is rook doing there?
take on a4.
No, but rook is there. Ah, you mean this. But what is knight
Take on
h?
a4.
Rook, what is this knight? No.
To g3.
Bishop g3, then I attack this one immediately. Queen e7 maybe, or even take and queen g5.
King f2.
And then rook e8. Okay, I understand it's better, but that's my chance. I have to do something. It's my chance. I understand that it's dangerous, but maybe the best move would be not to take d7. Whereas my bishop is here, I think. He could play also f3. No, he could castle simply. Simply castle maybe was the best. Just d5 and c5. Knight e4 just wins c1. Covering c3 square. And I'm losing probably. On b7, maybe queen a5 is the only move here. Queen a5 is trying to put somehow, but the pawn, I'm losing a pawn there for sure. But he played, no, okay, he played normal move actually. He played in this position also normal move, like he played e4 here. Looks tremendous because queen f3 is also, and he protected all the squares now, and bishop is coming to e3 if black will attack this bishop. Just this move. Also was possible if you would play queen knight f3, then at least I can play queen a5. Oh, knight f3 was not in this position. No. After bishop g4, yeah. After bishop g4. Yeah, you.
C4.
Sorry?
Can't you take on C4 here?
Yeah, no, it's not. Later I saw another variation. Here he played e4. And I realized that I have to find something. If I don't find anything, make just two moves, I'm lost. I'll lose a pawn on d3 and the game is over. d5 is a threat, by the way, too. And no squares for bishop then. d6 is a weakness. And I find a strange idea, but it worked. Incredibly, I played here d5. Carly asked Tal after the game how it's possible that it did not work. b5. Would you like such a move? Let's take a look. Vika, take a look. In this position, he played last move, e4. Maybe winning by many moves, but this is just tremendous. And now b5. It's the last chance for me to do something like that. Because if he takes on by pawn, I take on e2, and then I have bishop b3, and this is weak later, and I have chances.
No, rook takes.
Rook takes. It's incredible. And now d5. This was decoying this rook to b5. That rook is hanging there. And now d5. By the way, he could play also here, after b5. He could play after d5. But then I take here. And I have c3. take a rook on f7, it's okay for me. More or less okay. Not so lost like it was before. But now b5, he took by a rook, and now d5. He could not believe it, and he asked Tal how it's possible at all. So now,
Take on d5.
by,
The c pawn.
he took by e pawn.
What is the c pawn? What is the c pawn?
It's more or less the same, no? C pawn, I take by bishop anyway, no? C pawn, I have some, yes, I take by bishop anyway. Because there is queen e8, check. Rook is hanging.
Okay.
And if you lose a pawn on a2, it might be dangerous because my pawn would be strong. He took e5.
So if I take, wait a minute. If I take the c pawn first,
Yes, can I take by bishop?
and e5.
E5? Yeah, but I don't know. It's any move now. E5. Now you still don't want to take. If I take there, what you play? If I take rook b2 or what?
I think I calculate. What costs it?
Oh, I can no. Rook a2 you can cancel bishop a2. Then I go to d5. What is the problem? I take a pawn and go to d5.
Even pawns now.
Sorry?
It's even pawns. It's, we have 5 pawns.
Yeah, but I have a pawn.
Yeah, I see that.
It's very dangerous, a pawn. He took by this pawn. He wanted to keep a rook protected. But then bishop takes d5. Now, for instance, if he takes by rook, I take by knight. I think that looks good for me. Take by rook, take by knight, take. He has to cancel. And has to castle, and I take this one pawn. And my pawn are very, very dangerous here. Knight e4, knight e4, queen c4, queen g4, and it's typical defense for rook. Rook a6, defending 6, and a pawn, and d pawn is still alive, but a pawn is this is so. Only he has two pieces for rook and pawn.
There is nothing with the bishop e5 here.
Rook g6 always.
Okay.
It's always rook g6.
Yeah.
That is why rook a6 is very good defense.
There is no knight f6 in that position.
Here, no.
Bishop e5 first.
Rook g6. I take by pawn.
Okay, yes. Okay.
Cannot be bad for me anymore. So, and if he plays here instead of wait a moment, so pawn a2, rook is on rook b5, knight, bishop in that position, knight on d2, sorry, Knight on d2.
And if he castles here,
If he castles, then I can take. He takes, and I can take here. No, but it would be more or less equal. And take. But I would be happy with such position after what I have had before.
okay.
I would be happy with this position. And he would not be happy. That is another problem. He was so surprised by all what's, and he lost in few moves just this position. Because it was winning, and suddenly, even if it's, well, there is a way how white can find a right plan, a right move order, but you know how it's difficult when you have had an easy winning position, which would win slowly, safe, and suddenly you have to calculate a lot of stupid variations. It's psychologically very difficult. That's important when you are in bad position, in troubles. You have to change the game something, even sacrificing something. Mostly like pawn or exchange sacrificing. But even it's not correct. But it's more difficult for your opponent. He was ready just to finish a game slowly, safe, without any risk. And now he has to work. So he played in this position. Let me see what he did. Oh, this is a pawn here. Bishop e5. Looks also good, but again the same idea with decoying. No, now it's Bishop g2. He wants to play rook g1 immediately. Bishop c6, rook c5 then. No, but now first bishop c6. Now he goes rook c5. You see, twice I made the same idea. First to declare rook to b5 and now to c5. Now take rook g1 and now this. And now rook on c5 will be handy. Rook g2, queen d4 now. That's important. That's a big difference over here and here. You play king f1. Rook takes e5 here. And you see, otherwise he would have knight f3 here if rook on b5. There's no time. Rook takes, the queen takes. Now I'm even pawn up, after all. Rook g3, just rook d8. And white resigned this position. Really strange game, yeah? No, yeah, okay, it's, he has no... Now, a pawn is still alive, and d pawn and d3 pawn is. So, okay, that was a very, very funny game. Maybe I mentioned the tournament. in Barcelona, where I started with 3 out of 3 and did not win the tournament. And then I mentioned that I won a game versus Korchnoi, the only one game in my life. The only one. So, haben Sie Zucker gemacht? Ja?
Nein, hol ich.
Ja, danke. Denn ich, Sie trinken ohne Zucker? Ja. Das ist schon richtig. Ah, ja. So,
What about the Romanishin gambit?
which one do you mean?
In the Nymph Indian, Queen C2. In Queen C2 in the Nymph Indian.
Ah, Queen C2, you mean the gambit or variation just? With
It's
Queen
a
C2,
gambit.
Queen F5, or what do you mean?
No, it's pawn sacrifice. I've seen that.
Nymph Indian, not Queen C2, G3.
Queen C2.
With black or white?
Yes, gambit for black.
Black. Just tell me, just a moment. You tell me. So, you mean this d4, knight f6, yes?
Yes.
c4, e6, knight c3, bishop b4, queen c2. What then?
I think it's castling there.
Sorry?
It's
d5 here or not?
yeah. Okay, I think it's D5. Yes.
d5?
Yes.
Ah, maybe you mean this one, no?
Yes.
This.
Yeah.
And you mean this, 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 this,
Yes, I think it's that.
this, and this.
Yes. What about that?
No, it's not like that. Wait a moment. Something wrong. A3, take, A3, take. No. Just a moment.
Ist vielleicht kalt.
Huh?
9 Uhr.
You mean this one? Oh, this one. Probably. That.
Yes.
That you mean.
Yes.
I don't know. It's hard to say. There were a lot of variations. As far as I remember, Neidich played, Carlsen played, something like that with both sides. So there is very, very, very complicated.
I think Topalov has played it too. Topalov.
Maybe. Now we have two castle. They have bishop h6 also. Or knight c6 is another option here to play knight c6, sacrificing on g7. Yeah, but it is, I cannot tell you what is that exactly. Okay, the game I wanted to show. No, it's not so easy to. It's a lot of variations and it's a different move order. You cannot. It's not that you know immediately winning or losing. So, and now knight f3, knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, bishop b4. I played with black. And g3. G3 probably is not the best move here. Queen c2 mostly play. G3, because g3, castle, bishop g2, and now d5. And I think that this is okay. And now there are a few options. One option is cd5, ed5, d4. Yeah? This one. But in such positions, it's better to have a bishop here, not on g2. Because this pawn bishop f5 is very important, this square. So, and it's a little bit weakness here. So it's better to have a bishop there. If another option is to play here, oh, this is pawn. To play a3. Bishop takes. Now pawn takes. This is 3. Opening and now knight d7. That's more or less okay. cd5, d5. Normal position. White has bishop pair, but I have a square for a knight. Not so bad. So another option could be, here is also a move queen b3, which played versus me somebody, maybe Shchekachov, I don't remember exactly. This is another, here, queen b3. Or bishop on g2. Queen b3 is important. But he castled. Instead of this question, he castled.
After queen b3, do we play a5?
Sorry? No, maybe a5, maybe take in one moment. c5 is another option. So, queen is here. So, he played castle, and now it's d4. It's important. If taken on c4, then queen a4 is strong. And later take a3 and take by queen on c4. And that is better for white then. Better. Now the problem is with the knight. What to do? To go to b1 may be good, but not many people. And this might be dangerous because we can play c5 here, knight b5, c5. Okay, this was possible. e3, knight c6, taken, and d3. And to go by knight to a3. It's possible, but not, of course, not to play a3 because bishop moves and the knight get lost. So, but this was better. Instead of this, he played knight a4 here. And again we have this knight on the edge, like we saw in the first game. Knight on edges. Mostly bad. What was the first game? That was so knight ah, knight a4, and now bishop e7 back. And next move we will play c5. And knight is there. e3, c5 would be. And knight is still there. He played d3. c5. If he would bring a knight back to d2 somehow, that would be better for him. e4, knight c6, e5. It's typical position, but with a knight here. There's a big difference. Knight there or there. He needs a lot of time to bring a knight to the game. What means that the pieces on the bad square? It means from the bad square he can move only to another bad square. He cannot move to good square from there. There are no squares for him. He needs a lot of time. And on b2 we're also doing nothing. e5, knight d7. So if you would have something like that, typical position, French, and then will be clear better for white. I like to play with white such positions. And bishop f4, knight d2, knight d4, and here is problem with the knight. And now it's not so easy to defend the pawn. Rook e1, queen c7. Bishop f4. Bishop f4. Now what we have? We have to put bring a bishop to bring a bishop to b7 because we have no space too. So bishop goes to b7 and he has not a knight here for attack. b6. But this allows him to for a tactic now. Because if he plays this, bishop b7, knight g5, we even can take. Pawn takes, and knight e7. Changing that bishop, and playing here, here is no attack on king side, and still a knight is out. From a4 to b2 to d1 and place nothing again. So strategical mistake was okay. So but here he has a little bit tactic. Like in this position, he has b4 move. He has a move b4 here. No, bishop is still there. So before that, my rook is in there. b4. After b4, I played knight takes b4. Knight takes b4, knight takes d4, and bishop b7. Knight takes 3 back. No, knight b5 has no reason, just queen c8, and then take on d6 if knight goes d6, changing and so knight f3. Now is a problem if he has enough time. If he has enough time, black will be lost. Knight c3, knight e4, and will be bad. But rook d8 first. Attacking d3. He has no time to play something like knight c3 because I move a knight from to b8 back. And on d3 is ending.
Queen e2.
He played a3. No, logical. He has to remove my knight. a3. Now was surprise for him. Bishop takes f3. Cannot take by queen because of knight c2. Must take by bishop. And knight c6. And attacking a pawn. And he cannot, and knight d4 is a threat after queen e2. He cannot defend the pawn. He cannot defend the pawn, he must take on c6. So we just change the pieces. I gave a bishop for a knight, now he has to give a bishop for a knight. Because I take on e5 and then have many moves like bishop f6, bishop d6, everything. So he played take, and now queen takes. Finally, he brought his knight back. But in the meantime, I changed a lot of pieces. And he wants to go knight f4, knight e4, and will be again better. But black has a move f5. If he doesn't take, then if he doesn't take on, then he has not a square e4.
G5 was not a move there.
Later or now?
Before.
Here? What is g5? He just moves it back.
And take on.
No, rook is here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Also not to mention, sometimes it can take when g4.
Okay,
Yeah. No, but f5 is very important move. He's covering the square e4. If he cannot bring his knight to e4, then he will get problems. He must take, and now bishop takes, and he is pinned. Rook c1. Still wants to bring knight e4. But if bishop d4, and that was possible. Bishop d4, knight e4, knight e5, I think, or what? No, rook f5. Rook f5 to double rooks and to get some pressure here. Bishop e3 and knight e5. That was another option, but I preferred to remove immediately a knight. Immediately I removed a knight. This one. I removed the knight from c3, rook c3. Now is rook bet on c3. And now e5. And now he had to play bishop g5. He had to play, because he also, again, he needs just to bring his rook and he will be better again. But e5, he had to go here probably. And after rook e8, rook c2. That would be better for him. After rook e8, rook c2. But also I have a knight f6 too, we can move. Would be more or less equal also. But he played that. He took here. Knight takes. Rook takes. Rook is here. Very bad rooks. Both rooks are misplaced. And rook f2. Easy trick. Just bad pawns and open king. King f2, queen f6, king g2. Now he still wants to go back. Rook c2, he wants to bring his rook here and would survive, but king d4. Because if queen e3 I would play, he would just play this and start somehow to defend. So, but after queen e4 it's over. Must take, and rook, and game is lost. With such terrible pawns. And king f3, then just give check, and stop this king. It's better to stop this king. So he played a4, I think, in this position. He played a4. Rook a1, rook d2, rook a4, king on g8. Rook d8, king f7, rook d7, then check, take, rook g7, and now, and the move I made, and when in the rook ending is very useful when the pawns are not on the same rank, like h7 and a7, because we takes one pawn attacking immediately another pawn. So I play just h6. Now king f3, now I take, and he has to take there, but he is not attacking this pawn immediately. So I won a tempo, actually, for this. b5, rook e7, he has no time to attack this pawn. And he resigned after king d4. So, one more game?
Okay.
You are not tired?
We're not tired.
No?
Are you?
Not so much. Okay. Okay, one short game.
Yes.
Okay. Short game was versus Smyslov in Hastings. 76 to 77.
You live in Ukraine now?
Yes. No, maybe I show a game another versus Petrosyan, because I tell you why. This game. Did you attend the lesson last year or no?
No, I was not here.
But it is you can see it
Okay.
on the website of.
Okay.
Yeah. So because I showed one game versus Petrosyan, which was more famous, I would say, famous. But in my opinion, not the best. I think the best is this one. In my opinion, makes sense. At least. Yeah. So, it was a Soviet team championship, 71. I played the first board versus Petrus for Ukraine, versus Petrosyan. I managed to win 3 games versus Petrosyan and lost 2. It's not bad score, especially versus Petrosyan. So, e4. I used to play e4 too, not only d4 and knight f3. When I was younger, I used to play almost everything, not everything. d4, c4, e4, knight f3. Started with e4 until the age of 16. Played only e4, Then I started to play c4 and then changed d4, dependent not only of the opponent but also how I'm feeling today, so what I like to do. So, and he played one of his favorite, but he played Sicilian, he played Spanish, but Caro-Kann maybe one was his most favorite. E4, it was not preparation, I must say. D4, D5, knight c3, and he liked this system, knight d7. I was young, had a lot of energy, 79, so 77 was my best year, but 79 also good, 78 I was rated 2610. For January it was 11 in the world. It was later I have had 2615, but it was only 25th or something like that. Now it's almost nothing. So now it's 100 is 2650 or something. So, and I was maybe a little bit arrogant even. So I thought, okay, he is playing knight d7, wanted to play knight gf6. Cannot I do the same? I did not prepare it for sure. I just played knight e2. And later I discovered that it was played before. Few games, not many, few games. Knight f6 and knight g7. Okay, he wants to bring knights and me too. Knight g6. That's like normal move. Yeah? G6, bishop c4, bishop g7, c3. Okay, there's pawn hanging already with knight b6. So c3, castle, castle. And he played knight d5 here.
But instead of G6, couldn't he have played H5, H4 there?
Sorry?
In the beginning?
When?
From the beginning, when you have played, you played knight G3.
Knight g3 what?
Yes, bishop is on C4.
Bishop is on f1, yes.
If he plays H5 there,
H5, no, okay, but one moment I can take on f6 and move another knight.
okay.
Maybe I will play knight g5. No, it will be a little bit dangerous.
Okay.
Or maybe I start with bishop c4 and knight g5.
Okay, all right.
Ah, it's immediately maybe, and even take it
Yeah,
on
okay,
b6,
yeah,
yes. They do it, you know, they, in this position, they play something like that, and later knight g5.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, so, without h5, so, and he played g6, bishop c4, and bishop g7, c3, castle, castle, and knight d5 he played. Knight d5. Knight b6 was another option. Knight b6 if you play, instead of this, then take first, because I want him to have a bishop here. I need a square. Bishop b3, e5, and bishop h6. It's important. Rook e8, d1, bishop e1, and rook e1. Bishop d5, bishop e5, rook e1. And it's a little bit dangerous. There are no squares for a white square bishop. Queen d1, rook a d1. Maybe the only is take, and to play something like bishop d7. At least I have a4, a5. a4, bishop e6 then has to play. Taken, f4. Something unpleasant might be, like a4, bishop a6, take. Sorry, there is a rook here. So, even f4 and take on e6 should be better endgame. It's one of the options, yes. And if he in this position plays queen h4, his position is bishop is on b3, bishop c. Then we have queen d2. This problem is a little bit hanging pieces. So, and he played knight d5 instead of this. And he played knight d5 immediately. Not giving me time to take on f6. Knight d5, I think in this position, yes? Knight d5, knight is on e4. Probably, yes. Knight d5, rook e1. e5. Yes, and here he had the chances maybe to. I played bishop g5, rook e1, e5, bishop g5. And now he made a mistake with f6. He should play here queen b6. And it should be about equal. Queen b6. And then I take on e5, he takes by knight. Somehow was take, he takes by knight, I can take here, he takes by pawn, I take by queen, and he has this move. Now, queen c5, and then he has knight d3. Knight d3, and after take, this pawn is in. Rook a2, and should be about equal. That would be. Instead of this, he played that. He should play queen b6 here, and it would not be easy for me to prove that I am better. Because he played e5, he is attacking my pawn. If he would play queen b6, he is attacking my pawn here. And I don't see what to do. He played f6. f6 is a bad move. I tell you why. Just bishop d2. Now he takes on d4. I take by pawn. isolated pawn, because f5 here was not good. F5 here was not good because of taking. Take, knight g5, rook e8, and just take. You know, all that position, if the pawn would be on f7, would be okay. The pawn is on f5 and the bishop on c8 is lost. Later he lost the game because of the bishop on c8. Now it's just a very unpleasant position. So he played f6, took, and we changed. Where is my knight? This is, I think. And knight on d5. That is. So, and now is a position e d4, c d4. And my bishop is on c4. If the pawn would be on f7, then would be okay. And now if the pawn is on f6, it's closing the bishop on g7. When pawn is on f5, it's closing the bishop on c8. And additional e6 is square. Weak, and he cannot put a bishop to e6. So this position would be very good for black, but this is not. He played knight b6, bishop b3. He cannot play bishop b6. Not square for bishop. King h8. Queen c1. I did play a lot of games close Sicilian with white, and I know that without the bishop on g7, the king is very weak then. So I am even ready to play to change that bishop on g7 because the black squares are very weak then. a5 he played. He wants to get some counterplay. He cannot move pieces. And just a3. Of course not a4, not giving any square. And now he is going to change places with the knights. This is going to d5, knight c7, because covering the square. Knight, but I have knight c5. Knight bd5. Queen takes d4 was losing probably, almost not losing. Bishop e3 and later take on b7. So here played knight here. Knight b and what I mentioned already, and change this bishop. King will be weak after that. Bishop h6. He played b6. Sooner or later he must do it. But there is another then weakness. Then is another weakness, e6. Now I take on g7. King takes g7. And now knight goes to d3. Knight f4. Bishop d7. And knight f4. He cannot win, he cannot change both pieces because there will be file E and C file. It will be dangerous for him. Both filed and king is open on g7. Rook f7. Typical maneuver of Petrosian. Rook f7 with moving the queen over f8 to d6. h4. rook c8 first. Because queen f8, if queen f8, I would take by bishop and knight e6. Then he has to take and play c5, then queen c4. It's again very, very unpleasant. And queen c4. And he has to play rook d8 here. Rook d8. Or another option, just I can take on c5. Also he has a weak pawn. The changing queens, rook d1. Knight is not stable on d5. Needs support. So, rook c8 he played. Instead of queen f8, he played rook c8. Knight, bishop, and knight. No, bishop is... sorry.
Bishop d7. Bishop is on d7.
Bishop is on d7, yes. Rook c8, yes. So just wants to get a file at least. Yeah. Queen d2. Normal move. Okay. Rook c1. Queen f8. Rook ac1. He played rook e7 here. Because if he plays queen d6, then after knight takes, he has to take by pawn. Because knight e4 is coming. And then we can start with this move h5, knight e6, h6, knight e6, h6, oh yeah, king g8, taken, bishop takes, rook c1, and still initiative, because he has to play, bishop d7, giving me the file, because after rook c7, pawn, sorry. C8, bishop c8. Take, knight has to take, and that's a knight e4. Queen f7 is queen f4. King f7 and knight d6, just winning a piece. Yeah. King f7 the only protection here, and then knight d6 winning a piece. So he played rook e7 here. I think that was that. Queen d2, knight f4, rook c7, bishop, rook c8, knight c7, like that, yes, h4, now queen d2, and rook e7. in this position, yes. Now I changed on d5. Knight takes d5, has to take by knight, bishop takes. Oh, where is my knight? Is still another one g3. Bishop takes, pawn takes. Queen f4 has to take, and rook c6. Somehow defending. Want to play queen d6. We want to play queen d6. Rook e8, I would go rook c1. If you would go here, then I go here. And later I come. So he played rook c6 correctly. h5, queen d6. h5, queen d6. Queen e3. He had here moved to, he could play here queen e6. But then I go queen d2, winning a tempo. And he has to go back. And let me say this, and it's time to bring a knight to c3 maybe, to attack in everything. And cover and c5, and so that would be nice move, but it doesn't work. Knight f5. Would be, but it is not. Because if he takes, then h6 and with e7. And cannot take by pawn because take with queen g3 check. This is, but here's this move now, and now there is only draw with knight h6, not more. Unfortunately, but he did not play this. He played what? He played rook c7 here. Rook c7, and now is typical, a very easy one. Queen e7, queen takes, rook takes, king h6, and just a prophylactic move. King h2, and he is pinned forever.
But if he plays rook b7,
Rook b7, okay, and later?
uh,
And later what?
the bishop to c8,
Then always is rook e8. It's always rook e8. And then still the bishop is problem with the bishop. And he played a4. G5, h5 is bad because knight f5, king g6, and knight e3. Let's say, oh, this is check, knight e3, rook b7, even take on knight d5, bishop c6, and take on b6 later, and win. He played a4 first. Here move, a4. And now my knight is here, yeah? f4. Stopping his king for any also rook f7 is one moment. F4, b5. Now rook f7. Force him to play f5 and go back to e7. Now he played rook b7 finally. Rook b7. Changed. King g6. Because if he takes by pawn, then I have knight h1, I think. No, knight f1. If he takes by pawn, I go knight f1. Goes, let me say here, this is again. And knight e3 is attacking everything. So he took by king here. He took here by king, and then what I played. Rook is on b7. And then just knight e2. Bishop c8. Rook c8. Bishop rook c7. And knight c and knight c3. And this moment, move 40, he blundered bishop a6, blundered a piece. But the game is anyway lost. King f7, even I can take this and take on c8. So, but of course this is completely lost position. He played bishop a6 and blundered a piece. So this, I think, this game is from my point of view is better than another one versus Petrosyan with bishop d3 and knight d5. This game is better. Well, should we finish? Or?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Very interesting.
Thank you to you. Thank you listening to me. Not only two, because other left people, it was too complicated, too tight, too long.
But everybody has your energy.
Yes. Turn off.
Finish?
If you want to finish?
Go finish.
Thank you.